This morning it was quite cold out. We had little bits of snow yesterday morning, if you can believe that, even though it is the middle of May. Actually, the end of May. Came out this morning and the weather says that the temperature was 26. I think we're a little bit colder. And one thing to note is that we have these little 5-gallon bucket waterers. They have little cups on them. They're really handy in the summertime because the chickens, of course, you don't have to give them a bowl of water every day. Fill up that 5-gallon bucket, and those little cups will auto-fill. Well, when it's 26 degrees, those things froze solid. So this morning, the cups were full of frozen water. And even after I got the frozen water out of one side, which I did on that side, no water would come out because the water inside the little neck there was frozen too. So these guys and the little chicks over there both have the same water, and that's a problem. So I had to dump them out and go back to the winter watering bowl here. Just something to take note of. Don't forget about your chickens if it gets really cold, because they definitely need water, and the water system that works in the summertime, and which we do put away in the winter because we know it will freeze if it gets down below 32 for any extended period of time, which, being that it was 26 last night, I'm guessing it was under 32 for probably 6 or 8 hours. So that's long enough to make these things completely useless. But you can solve it for temporarily. Just pour some water in a bowl like this and then leave these sitting open. I got the one for the chicks down there sitting behind the coop. So the chickens aren't fighting, trying to understand why there's no water in the bucket or in the little cups. But hopefully once the sun comes up and starts shining on these guys and shines on the buckets, it'll warm up. Once we get above freezing, then I can fill these back up with water and get them ready. I think we only have a couple more nights where we're supposed to possibly even get around freezing. Tonight was definitely supposed to be the coldest. So hopefully we don't have very many more of these nights where it's so cold. But yeah, definitely cold. Everything is covered in frost this morning. Glad I didn't put out any of my tender crops. All we have out right now is brassicas, so broccolis, well, not broccoli, but cabbage and kale and collards and Brussels sprouts, things that can definitely take cold weather, so they'll be okay. All the tomatoes and peppers and everything else are still in the house though. I know a lot of people do try to get stuff out early, but this is why you don't do it, right? Late season frost. It's been in the 70s for days and days and days in beautiful sunny weather. Will trick you into thinking that we're ready, but you end up getting cold snaps like this. So I was doing an update on how cold it was. I figured I'd also give an update on the animals. It's a little later in the morning here. You can see we have this tree that broke and we cut down. Still got to chop it up. Dogs are out. Lunchtime, so it's now right around noon. The temperature is much more comfortable out here. It's in the 50s. Sunshine is out. It's a beautiful blue sky day. But give an update on some of the animals. As you can tell by looking at them, the meat birds are just about ready. So I haven't really checked in with these guys much. The chicken tractor has been working terrific. If you want to see how I built this, I'll leave a link to the video here in one of the corners. But I do have a full series on that, so be sure to check that out if you want to see it. The only thing that's changed since I built it in that video is I added some tarp to the top and put some wheels on the side just to make it easier to drag around. But even the wheels are really not necessary. I haven't even really been lifting them. Outside of that, we got 22 Cornish cross meat chickens in here. They're all doing very well. As you can see, they're nice and big. I have a size a little over, I think, a 10.5 shoe here. And I don't know if you can make that out, but they are bigger than my foot for sure. So they're all probably between 4 and 6 pounds. And this weekend will be the last weekend we have them. We'll start processing them this weekend. They're going to freezer camp. So I'm gonna throw some more food in here for these guys. I come out at lunchtime and I clean out their water bowls because they're super messy. And I fill up 2 of these troughs with food because they're just non-stop hungry. But I'll put these in there, give them some food, and then I'll check in with you here in a second with the chicks that are going to be our future egg layers as well. One more thing to note about the meat chickens while we're over here. So you can see I have the tractor here. What we do is we move that once a day. So I don't know if you can make it out well on the camera, but that was yesterday's, that was the day before's, that was the day before's. And if you go up the hill, there's one up there, there's some up there. So we moved them around all at the top of the hill and slowly worked their way down the hill and got them to here. The plan is to run them across this bit of pasture right here until this weekend, and then we'll do the slaughtering down here amongst the trees. I'll hang some cones from these trees, and this is where we'll do the slaughtering. I have a automated plucker. I'll use the plucker up at the top by the garage, and we also have a hose up there so I can clean them easier. But yeah, when you're putting these, if you ever have meat chickens, this is my first time. When you're doing this, you really do kind of want to plan ahead a little bit so that you end up in a place that's convenient, right? Because you don't want to have to take the chickens out of the meat tractor or the chicken tractor and then carry them a significant distance. My goal was to have them at the base of this tree that we're going to cut down in the long run, because, or somewhere close to that, because I'd like to hang 1 or 2 cones from that tree, and then maybe 1 cone from that tree, so that I can do the slaughtering there. The cones are basically like a plastic bin that you hang the chicken upside down in, so it kind of calms down and goes into like a little bit of a trance when it's upside down, and then you can dispatch the chicken without it having too much stress. So as I've mentioned before, I'm doing this because I want to raise chickens that I know that are raised well and are processed well. I love eating meat, so I'm not going to be sitting here talking about being a vegetarian and never eating it again, but I would like to know that my chickens are raised in a humane manner and that they're treated well and they're given good food and they're giving sunshine and fresh air and grass. And these chickens have all of that. Now, it's funny, I give them all that space in here, and they only really use half the chicken tractor. They like to be out to the front where the food is, and they'll even just lay around the food when it's empty. So they don't use the back all that much. When they were younger and it was colder, you'll notice that we have a wire there. There is a heat lamp inside of there, and I did turn the heat lamp on a little while for them when it was cold. And they would use that area, but the vast majority of the time they don't really use the back. They like to lounge in the sun and and be close to the food. But they have the ability to go back to that other area if they want and be protected. If it's raining or something, they'll go back there, but in general, they don't. So it is a little funny that, you give them all that space and they don't use it anyway. But I know that they have it, and I know that they haven't been cramped in, and I know that they haven't been uncomfortable, and I know that nobody's mistreated them. Now, I may have told them that they're stinky once or twice, because they are, but they don't speak English, so I think that's pretty much the only abuse that they've ever had. So that's good. I can feel good knowing that these chickens were raised well, and they were not in any way stressed out or hurt or anything during their life, and that to me is important. If you figure out the price per pound, I'm sure I could have gotten the chicken a little cheaper at the grocery store, but that's okay. That's not what this is about. This is about me having food that I know was raised right, the animals were treated well, and is not pumped up with anything that I wouldn't want them to be eating. I give them food that I know what the food is. I've provided them with snacks, and I know what the snacks are, and given them water that I know is clean. Okay, so this is where we're keeping the chicks that will become our egg-laying flock in the long run, or additions to the egg-laying flock. So we've lost 2 chickens, as I mentioned previously, to some sort of predator. And we got some more. We wanted to expand the egg-laying flock anyway, as well as to add a rooster or 2, depending upon how many come about. But yeah, this is where we've been keeping them. This is our old coop that we built, last year for our original chickens. We got it moved from our old house to our new house, and use this as a brooder basically. There's a heat lamp in there. It's connected by an extension cord. You probably can't see it, but it's connected. And during the evening, it still gets a little cold. So we've been giving them supplemental heat. They are fully feathered out, so they probably don't need it, but that's all right. We'll keep them comfortable. It is chilly some nights, like this morning when it was 23 degrees. So anyway, we've got the watering can out here because remember I mentioned earlier, it froze. So I'm letting it sit in the sun and thaw out. Temporarily, we've got one of their older water containers in there, and that's just fine for them. But in here, as you can see, they're having a good old time. They're out, they're about, doing chicken things, doing some little face-offs there, pecking around at the fence, exploring, just being little chickens. The amazing thing is, I don't know if you can make it out well on the video here, but these guys are easily half the size, if not more than half smaller, than those meat chickens. And they are the exact same age, like to the day. We got them all at the same time. So it just goes to show you how quickly those meat chickens grow compared to normal chickens, right? These guys are almost 8 weeks old. You know, they're probably 1.5 pounds, maybe. Super small still. They're not bantam chickens. These are full-size chickens. These are barred rocks, the black and white ones. We have some Wyandottes. I don't know if you can make that one out. That's right there on the ramp. Those speckled color ones. Those are going to be golden lace Wyandottes. Oh yeah, there's another one coming out right there. So a couple Wyandottes in there. You can see they're having a good old time. And then we also have some Welsummers, which is what our we had 2 Welsummers. We only have 1 now because unfortunately one of them got taken by a fox or a hawk. But so yeah, so we have Welsummers, we have Wyandottes, and we have the barred rocks in here. So these are just going to be additions to the laying flock. We have 13 of them. Some of them are straight runs, so I'm sure we'll have a couple roosters. We can already see some of the activity is, you know, pointing toward them being roosters. They don't crow yet, but some of them are definitely more loud and more spunky is probably the right word. You know, you go in there to feed them and they're definitely already, you know, more curious to try and pick at your hands or jump at you, whereas the other ones are, you know, hiding in the corners. So I'm sure we're gonna have some roosters, but we'll keep 1 or 2 of those, and the others we'll either give away or process them for meat. You just can't have a whole bunch of roosters. They'll be fighting all the time. Not to mention that in the spring, they'll basically breed your hens to death. If there's too many roosters, you know, the hens will be basically abused. So got to make sure we don't have that happening. But these guys are all doing great. As you can see, they're just pecking around, having a good old time. You know, we feed them regular feed. They're on chick feed still. That's got the coccidosis vaccine in it. And once that's, I think we'll do that for another month or 2, and then we'll switch them over to the regular feed. But for right now, that's what they're on. You can see that they're having a good old time. They run around. They are just being chickens. When we get ready to mix them in to the other flock, which is over there, you can kind of make them out in the shadows. I'll go over there in a second. So what we have here is we have a 8-foot by 12-foot frame that I've put together. My dad was up here last weekend and helped me start building it. We've got it set on some trunks and some cinder blocks, some rocks, nice and level. We put a piece of tarp over top just to protect the subfloor. So this is just not MDF, OSB. So there's OSB under there that's on top of these 2x6s that are pressure treated. So all the stuff on the bottom is pressure treated. The posts are 4x4s, the sides are 2x6s, and the floor joists are 2x4s. I know that those are a little small, but remember, this is chickens, it's not for people. And as you can see, I can stand on it just fine. It's pretty sturdy, it's not going anywhere. So what we're planning on doing is building this into a nice large coop. So the goal is to have about 1/3 of it sanctioned off for the geese. So the geese will be on this side, the chicken will be on this side. The reason we'll do that is so that we can have a separate door for the geese, so we can let them out so that they can run through the yard and eat grass. The chickens will stay in the other side. We'll have a door that will go out there, and it'll keep them enclosed in an area that we're going to fence off in here so that they can be in a run that's a little safer. And in the wintertime, what we'd like to do is put an entrance into one of these sheds here, because the sheds stay protected from snow. So it's dry in there. It's always dusty on the ground, so they can take their dust baths. And we could throw some feed and stuff in there and let them scratch. Chickens really need something to do, and in the wintertime, that'll be a terrific location for them. So yeah, that's kind of the goal for right now. We're also going to put some fencing along the bottom here so that the chickens can come on underneath the coop, because they really do like to hang out under the coop. You'll notice it even with the small chicks. You can see like one's coming out right there. They'll go under the coop regularly just to kind of go under there and get some shade and get protection. Chickens are pretty flighty and they're scared often, you know, makes sense because everything wants to eat them. They're delicious. So it's important that we give them places to hide so that they can feel comfortable and safe. They don't like to stay in the coop all day, so you got to give them something supplemental. And that's what we're going to use this area for. So that'll be the hangout spot for them if they want to hang out during the day. We'll make sure it's all fenced off so they can't get out, but it'll be protected. And then once again, we'll have the fence go across there. And in the wintertime, we'll probably put a little bit of a fence across the front of this bay of the garage, or of the shed, whatever you want to call it. And then we'll put an entrance on the side or something that we can connect from the coop so they can walk across and get in there. We'll take all the stuff out of there right now. You know, it's in there temporarily storage just to keeps things dry. But by the time the winter comes, we'll have that all cleared out. And then all the chickens and the geese can go over there and hang out in the wintertime and not have to worry about being stuck in the coop all day. Being stuck in the coop all day for chickens is pretty awful. They really don't like it. And they end up picking on each other and picking on each other's feathers and kind of being jerks. And here's the laying flock today. They've been doing great. They're all nice and healthy. You'll notice that nobody's got any marks left from the frostbite this winter. Everybody's looking great. We did lose 2 to predators, but since I put this chicken, you know, this poultry fence up, they've been keeping in there. We do have 1 or 2 that'll try to fly out every day or 2. We've clipped their wings. It doesn't seem to matter. They still find a way. That's all right though. We keep an eye on them and keep them kind of in line. They're producing tons of eggs right now. We're, you know, getting 8 or 9 eggs from 9 chickens every day. So they are definitely on their game. They really seem to like having this area back here that we cleared out to dig through. They've really like dug through all these rocks and kind of, they like to dig around in the dirt and around the rocks looking for bugs and scratching for, you know, seeds or whatever. So we're really looking forward to letting them out into this area as well once we get this new coop built, because there's a ton of areas that are like this over here, but inside the woods, where they'll have plenty of room to kind of dig around, eat the plants, dig up the dirt, do whatever they want to do. And that's the goal of this area. In the long run, we're probably going to get a couple goats and they'll join them, but outside of that, this will be the chickens area to kind of live and dig and just be chickens. You know, we want them to be happy. You can see that they dig holes like Raven's doing right there. She's got herself a nice little hole dug where she picks out the ground and looks for any seeds in the hay that was down there, and she'll dig through the dirt and look for any kind of worms or bugs that she can find. But yeah, so that's the update. I'll go and check on the geese here in a second, show you the 3 goslings. They are just gigantic at this point, nice and big, super healthy as well. We'll go over those guys and then we'll wrap up this video. All right, so here's the geese. The geese are doing great. We have 2 Sevastopol goslings and 1 pilgrim gosling. So the pilgrim gosling is the one that we hatched, and you can see her hatching if you look at the video linked up here. I'll put a link in there for you. You'll notice that she's got a bandage on right now, which is actually coming off, so I'm gonna have to fix that. She has what's called angel wing, which is where one of their wings kind of like pops out and the feathers grow a little weird. We're just gonna put this bandage on for 6 to 8 hours a day. As you can imagine, that's kind of difficult with a goose. It really is just the fact that her feathers are kind of like growing too fast, so they twist her wrist, the equivalent of her wrist, and give her trouble. So supposedly if you put this bandage on, we started it yesterday. Yesterday we got it to stay on most of the day, but it looks like today she's found a way to pull it off a little bit. The other 2 are doing great. They're Sevastopol geese, so they'll have curly feathers. The pilgrim, which is the one we hatched, is named Lucy. And then we have Curly, which is the larger, the white colored Sevastopol. And then we have Frizz, which is the smaller. She's gonna be a gray colored one. We like them a lot. We had originally thought about, you know, hatching the geese out and keeping a couple and then possibly eating a few, but I don't see us ever eating any of these 3. They've become basically, you know, family pets at this point. So we'll probably just keep these guys around, and then next season, if we have babies, especially from Lucy, because she is a meat breed, you know, goose, then we can maybe, you know, have some meat animals from them. But as you can see, they're very, very friendly, very, very interactive. You'll notice they make a big giant mess. This was clean this morning. I have to clean this like at least once a day. They poop and spread water and just make a disaster everywhere. We have to get them out of this this brooder soon, but they're taking a little, you know, they grow fast. So because of their quick growth, and they're not totally feathered out yet, and it's still a little cold, we don't want to put them in a place that doesn't have enough heat and it isn't confined enough to where we can keep them safe. So for right now, they're in here. It's not the most comfortable of spaces, I'm sure, but they're okay. You know, there's definitely not anything that's hurting them. We do just have to keep up on changing the litter. You can see that this is just 2 bowls of water. This is our 2nd bowl of water today, and they just spread water everywhere and they poop all over it. So I'm constantly shoveling out and replacing wood chips. You know, we got wood chips right there, just constantly. It's a never-ending battle with these guys. But we really like them. They're very, very friendly. They like us. Right, ladies? All right, well, guy and ladies. So we think this is a male. We think she's a female, and we know that she's a female. So the pilgrims are colored by sex. So the white pilgrims are going to be white, and the colored pilgrims are going to be girls. Sorry, white pilgrims are boys. The gray pilgrims are girls. These guys, she's trying to bite my ring. These guys, you don't know for sure, but this one here, he has grown much faster than this one. So we're assuming that this is a gander and that's a goose. That's the thought, at least. He also makes some interesting shrill noises, and we've read that that can be a sign of a male goose as well, is that they have a higher pitched noise that they'll make sometimes. But you can see they love to chew on stuff. Here she is just chewing on the edge of the wood for no apparent reason at all. She's got some food on her nose there. You know, can you not feel that? You want me to clean that off for you? Huh? They usually they'll dip their nose in the water. Of course, hey, don't bite my phone. He's standing in the water right now, so maybe I can get him out of there. Let's get out of there, yeah. So she'll dip her nose in the water and splash it around to clean that off. Yeah, she does not like getting her wings bit at. But yeah, they're doing well. They're great. We really do enjoy them. They have a ton of personality. They're fun to be around. They're fun to take outside. We bring them outside. They love to just eat grass all day. They'll play around, chase us through the yard. If we walk, they'll just follow us. You know, they want to be right beside us the whole time. So these guys are great. If you ever have a chance to have goslings, definitely take it. They're just so much fun to have around, and they're just a pretty awesome little creature to start with. Now, with that said, they do have a reputation for being mean as they get older. From what I understand, that's mostly the males during breeding season, but we'll see how that works out. I just, at least even if they turn out to be mean and we don't end up liking having them long term, having them as chicks has just been great. They're super fun to have around, and they're so cute, and they have tons of personality. This one here likes to cuddle. If you sit down on the lawn, he'll just come up and kind of sit next to you and curl up next to you. She's a little more standoffish than the others, and Lucy likes to just climb on our lap. I think that's just because we hatched her, and she was, since she came out of the egg, we've been the only thing that she's known. So yeah, she's just definitely attached to us. I do need to fix that bandage. You can see her wing is kind of sticking out there, and you're supposed to have that tucked under. So she somehow pulled that off. But yeah, that's the update for the for the spring. We've got the geese. Everybody's doing great. Pretty soon they'll be let loose into the yard and be able to kind of do their own thing once they're fully feathered out. They're about halfway there now. So, all right, well, thanks for watching. If you'd like to follow along with our journeys of building the chicken coop and the goose coop, raising the geese, raising the meat birds, raising the chickens, at some point in the future, raising some goats, give us a like and a subscribe. Click the little bell, you'll get notified when we make new videos. All right, well, thanks for watching and have a good one.